Broadcasting live. It's America's longest running talk show on computers. It's Computer America, bringing you the biggest names in technology with guest interviews, new products, and your emails. Listen live at computeramerica.com on any device around the world. Email the show at live@computeramerica.com or find us on social media. Be sure to check out our website for contests, giveaways, show notes, live video stream, podcasts, and more. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome into the Computer America Show. We are the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers and technology. Thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Ben Crossman, and I hope all of you are having a wonderful day as we get things kicked off here with, we're talking all things, actually a plethora of things, including cybersecurity, cryptocurrency, hacking, and, some of these unfortunately hit way too close to home. So we have a great show planned for you today with our regular correspondent, Mr. Scott Schober, and you can find out more about him and his book and everything that he does over at computeramerica.com. Oh, and also his website, scottschober.com, which we have a link to. A couple of things, including the social media contest brought to you by Logitech that's still ongoing, and of course you can check out the live video stream brought to you by OWC. So with all that being said, why don't we go ahead and just get started here with our guest, because again, we never seem to get to everything and there's a lot to talk about. So joining us again, he is our resident cybersecurity expert, and in these trying times, you don't have to look too far to see where his expertise really comes in handy. So, Scott, welcome back onto Computer America, and how you doing?
Doing great. Wonderful to be back. And how you doing yourself there, Ben?
Doing pretty darn well. So,
excellent.
Yeah, and like I said, it's been a busy couple of weeks since you've been on. So, why don't we go ahead and pick one of these topics to kind of dive into, and I think. Probably the one affecting the most people seems to be the Facebook. And I'll be honest, I haven't really, we've covered some news stories about it, but I haven't gotten to actually speak to, any cybersecurity people or really any other expert on the matter. If you could give us a broad overview of Cambridge Analytica, of Facebook, and something that I'm having some trouble with, which is why are people upset that Facebook is selling their data?
Yeah, this is a very intertwined one, and I think to your point, why are people upset? I kind of question why do people get upset, because asking the natural question, didn't you realize that you're providing them with your personal data? Did you really think that it would be private? And the surprising reaction most people get is, yeah, I didn't think that it would ever be sold or reused, or my friends would be accessed, their personal data, so on and so forth. And just backing up a little bit, when a lot of these things actually transpired, it was back in 2014, really there was an app that one of the doctors there at Cambridge Analytica developed that was really used for harvesting data. So it was kind of being done from an educational research standpoint, and Facebook did give them permission to use that and to collect data. It was approximately anywhere from 250,000 to 270,000 people that opted in and agreed to fill out a survey. They participated in this survey. Yes, I consent to having my data harvested, so on and so forth. That's what they were told, but it was only for academic use, and that was the extent of it. Well, what ended up happening is it went to the next level, basically, and they were taking it to the point where they were looking at all of the profiles, everybody that was friending other people, and they dug in deeper, which exposed over 50 million raw profiles. And Facebook at the time, around 2015, said, hey, that violates our privacy policy. You got to get rid of it. Okay, sorry, our bad. We deleted it. End of story. And it moved on, supposedly. Well, guess what? they didn't necessarily delete it, and it's appearing later on. And I guess there was a whistleblower, there's a part-time worker there that's kind of blew it and told everyone, hey, this private information still exists, it's out there, and it wasn't within the bounds of the law, and the big mess started to happen. And as we could see, major outrage by everyone.
Absolutely. This is, it's, if nowhere else is certainly reflected in, if not like the discourse in the news and things like that, but it's also reflected in their stock price where,
exactly.
It's, it seems like a lot of people are kind of realizing just to the extent at which their data, can be used. And I think that's the important part, is that we're learning how valuable data is, which, I have to ask you, this data that they said, oh, you collected that without, not through the proper channels, and you have to delete that, data on 50 million people, that data is worth something. Like, data has a dollar value. In some cases it's like $1 a profile or something like that, sometimes cheaper, sometimes more. Do you think it was naive of Facebook to say, without any kind of oversight, without any kind of investigation, hey, delete that? Because essentially they're just saying, hey, throw $50 million out the window, please. And they said, yeah, sure, okay. Like, do you think it was naive on Facebook for them to assume that they would?
I have trouble believing that the stance that Facebook took, and they were not more proactive to see proof that it was properly destroyed, because it was a blatant misuse of the data. They're in the business, this is Cambridge Analytica really, and Facebook for that matter, of selling data. So there's a business relationship that happens, and I mean they support all the different election campaigns, over 50 election campaigns that Cambridge Analytica, they will buy and sell data and use it in different capacities there to help win elections and things. And in this case, it's reported that it was used for helping Trump to win the election. So it takes it to the next level, and I think Facebook's already gotten burned with some of the Russian problems and data, so on and so forth. So Facebook, I think, knew a lot more about this, and they should have been more upfront, more transparent. And what happened after the fallout? I think once the stock prices hit the valuation, they've lost billions. We see CEO of Apple, he's pounding them. Playboy announces that they're deleting Facebook accounts. Elon Musk was very vocal and took the whole company's Facebook page down and said, I'm done. So these are influential industry leaders and companies that are reacting. So Facebook got a big slap in the wrist, and it's affecting their bottom line. Now the latest news in the past day or so that's unfolding is now they're trying to refocus their efforts. They're trying to make privacy settings easier to find, so on and so forth. The bottom line is nobody reads this stuff. I think I've mentioned even in the past on prior shows that you use on your mobile device, it would take over 3 months just to read those terms and conditions and the privacy settings that you agree to. Who's got time for it? They should make it easier and more understandable for people that are reading it so they really get the sense of it. You don't have to be a lawyer then to try to decipher this mess.
Right, and that is kind of where we find ourselves now, because my my own mother tried to delete Facebook like a year ago. She was ahead of she was and still is ahead of her time, but but even her, she worked in law for a long time. She knows